Peter Blackwood of Icon Diary. I'm painting an icon of Mother Teresa of Calcutta, and this is being modelled on an icon which was written by Brian Nicholas Tsai of California. So let's start. Now from here on, the video is showing at 4 times normal speed. Painting's a very slow process, so this takes some of the tedium out of watching this quite exacting part of iconography. I'm using a Kolinsky brush, a number 3, and I am painting with a mixture of yellow ochre and a little bit of Mars black. It looks like I'm painting directly onto a blank panel, but I'm not. I can see very faint lines which I made from a tracing, and the lines are red ochre. You might be able to catch a glimpse of that. So that's sort of giving me just the guidelines for where the main features are. Now there you can see the model that I'm working from, a painting by Brian Nicholas Tsai. He lives in San Francisco in California, and he was commissioned to paint this icon by a friend, and it was commissioned to honour and be dedicated for his late wife. Brian says that he studied many photographs of Mother Teresa, and there are many photos because she's a very famous lady, and I looked at quite a few. She's usually smiling, and that makes for very happy photos, but it is nearly always, I'd like to say always, the case that icons don't smile, and I'm glad to say this is one of them too. A couple of reasons for this. One, I think, is that smiles showing teeth are really hard to paint, and also smiles are transitory. Arnaud, Australian artist and portraiture painter, sometimes paints smiles, and he does it very, very well. But he says, for the most part, we don't want to see a grinning face staring down at us from our walls. I agree. Well, this icon of Mother Teresa is getting the shading painted in, and as I've said, with yellow ochre and Mars black. I think Brian has done a beautiful job with the hands, these praying hands. I can't remember seeing hands in an icon that are so sort of delicately, you often see them, you know, in prayer or held in blessing or some other posture, but these are held together and the fingers nearly intertwine, and it's going to be both challenging and delightful to make these hands work well in this icon. Now over on the little screen you can see that I'm repeatedly referring to an image of Mother Teresa, and it's an image which is on an iPad, which I have suspended beside the easel. Say a few more things about Brian Tsai. Certainly in other videos later on I'll talk more about Mother Teresa, but just to say about Brian Tsai that he moved to San Francisco from Maryland in 1984, and he hadn't been an artist in any other form, but was transfixed by the icon form when he attended Orthodox churches, and so he tried painting on his own, but then studied under a number of iconographers, Dmitry Shklotnik and others, and he has become an adept painter of icons, and has many commissions. I think one of the beauties and challenges of this icon, apart from the hands as I've mentioned, is the white garment with the striking blue lines, the very familiar markings of the habit of Mother Teresa and her fellow sisters. And being a white garment, it's going to be interesting and challenging to get it looking white, but starting with this quite dark shading. Now it will not appear this dark because I'll be painting over this with titanium white, which is, as I've said many times, is very strong, and the trick will be to let this dark shading show through the titanium white so that we can still see the shading and make it a bit more subtle, a lot more subtle. I hope you'll consider marking this with a like. I don't mind if you mark it with an unlike, but likes are better. And also to make a comment. It's a feature of the iconographer world, I think, that they're fairly shy, and there aren't many who want to make comments or ask questions, but I do welcome it. It'd be lovely to hear from you, and so that we can set up something of a conversation as we paint this icon of Mother Teresa of Calcutta.